Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. Last week, we were not at Comic Con, but at a family event, and the artist and colorist of Power Squared took over the show and did a tier list of all the Power Squared characters,
Yes.
or at least the ones that have actually had maybe a speaking line or something. Um, so we thought they did their tier list. We thought we'd do our own. So we're here to present the creators edition of the tier list.
Yeah, it's going to be a similar format where we'll have the list on screen, tier list thing on screen, and go from there.
Yeah, we're actually using the same website and presentation they did.
Yeah.
Though ours are not in the same order yet. So
Yeah.
as we go along, we'll do it. All right.
Right, so let's get started here.
All right. So, if you saw theirs last week, which was really great that they did it, theirs were actually in better order, but
Yeah.
we kind of know these characters a little bit. So, we're going to start with Marty
Yes.
Powers. So, right there. And how do you guys see Marty?
Well, he's based on me, so I don't want to be too. I don't see him as me.
Right. I know.
He's based on,
Yes.
loosely based on me.
Right.
So I don't want to be too biased, so I don't see him as an S tier character.
Okay. Do you see it? They have him as a B character, as I recall.
Yeah.
Do you see him as a B?
Potentially, because he's still developing as a character.
Uh-huh.
He has made mistakes along the way, whether they were of his own volition or not.
Yeah, and which is typical of people anyway.
Yeah.
I can just take this.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So, I just generally don't see him as an S,
Right. Okay.
because he's a flawed
So let's talk a little bit about S, A, B, C, D. What is it? What is S?
has to be the best,
Okay. So
whatever that means.
okay, and then
D is the worst.
of the characters.
Yeah.
And that is that rating them by what kind of a person they are, or how important they are to the story, or
Well, if it was importance to the story, then it would be obvious who would be in this. But we just talk about them as characters.
okay. So yes, he's a flawed human.
Yeah. I might say B just because I hesitate to put him in A because I don't want to be biased.
Okay. Trevor, how do you feel about that?
I can see that.
Okay, so
Well, how do you feel?
I love all the characters, but obviously not equally. But I think part of the story is about them being they're flawed.
Yeah.
I mean that's part of the story. But I mean I'm not trying to overrule anybody. So if you guys think B is a good place for it, which is how they placed him, which was also they placed him because he stopped seeing Mocha so he could date a human, which I thought was kind of weird. I mean, that was just, he kind of felt he had to try that.
Yeah, then he came back around.
He came back around and she took him back in. So, if you want to make him a B, that's fine.
There's high B because there's still the potential.
Right. Okay.
I kind of feel the same way about Eli, to be honest.
So let's make Eli a B. Okay. So I would say in kind of the order in which they contact people, it would be Instructor Miller,
Right.
Agnes Miller, who is their science teacher.
This one here.
Yeah. She's the one that notices, in the comic book, she's the one that notices they have powers.
Yeah.
And she goes from sort of it being a confused teacher to the dark side in the story. But she's sort of a light, kind of not as dark as or as bad as Dr. Alice is, but she's kind of on the bad side.
Yeah.
And she's also a flawed character. She's lonely, and Dr. Alice sort of shows her, some sort of companionship, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And
Sort of. I almost want to say it's like how cult leaders prey on the.
but okay, so,
Not exactly that. But.
Okay, so how do you see Agnes Miller?
This is already hard.
Yeah.
Well, she's a villain, but she I feel like she's not. She's devoted to Atlas, but I feel like she's the kind of person who might think at some point Atlas has gone too far.
Yeah, I think she's a little bit of humanity.
Yeah.
She tries to talk him down from some things. So yeah, you'll make her a C.
Yeah.
I was thinking of C.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna 100% agree with whatever.
Yeah. So Dr. Atlas.
Yes.
Dr. Horatio Atlas.
Yes. Can't seem to get rid of him.
Nope, he's like the bad penny keeps showing up.
Yeah. No matter what the boys do, he manages to.
Wiggle his way out.
Yes, even escaping death.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
apparent death.
Yes, I thought he was dead, and
Yeah.
he wasn't. No. Yeah, again, we're just going to talk about the characters, and if you haven't seen it, read the book.
Yeah. But Atlas is a character who is not really redeemable.
No, he is. He
fully believes in his cause.
Yes, he does.
But yeah, he's.
Is he a D?
Well, how do you feel about him?
I think he's a good villain,
Yeah.
but as a person, as a character, he's not very. He's not really. There's nothing. The fact that he has some sort of affection for Agnes is sort of the best thing about him in a way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's very dedicated to his cause. He can't stop what he's doing. He feels like he has to do it.
Yeah.
And mostly he's not doing it for anybody else's interest but himself.
Yeah. So, would that make him a D?
I guess I would make him a D.
Because he's, very focused on himself.
Right. Now, the boys live with their Uncle Brian.
Yes.
With Atlas.
Yeah.
It's like maybe wiggle room for a low C, but probably more of a D.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
He's on the border, I guess.
really important to the story, but
Yeah.
not a nice guy. So, speaking of sort of important to the story, Uncle Brian, that's where he's brought the boys into his home
Yes.
so that they can go to San Ramiro Community College. He is a flawed character, if there ever was one.
Very.
He is.
I kind of feel mixed on him as a character.
Yeah. It's like, we know why we came up with him.
Right.
And some of his actions are a little based on,
Yes, the person that they're based on.
yeah. But, it's like, maybe it's because we had to look at the first 5 issues over and over and over.
Oh, yes.
But the more we went back through issues, the less I kind of like.
Okay.
If we were rating issues, I'd put the first 5 under D.
All right. Well, he's also as the story has gone on.
Yeah.
He has been sort of someplace for the boys to go back to. He we see him several, throughout the story. He's not always chasing. We have him sort of be a womanizer and think that he's, kind of God's gift to women kind of thing.
Right.
And as things go on, I think he's less of that a little bit.
Yeah, thinking about it, I guess we try to downplay.
Yeah, he gets better, but he's still. Yeah, I mean, your first impression of him is, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the one that's going to help the boys, center the boys, and help them through college.
Yeah.
But I think he has two kind of split personality. I think he's very nice to the boys. As we'll find out later, I think he's sort of helped finance to take care of them. But he's good to them. He feeds them. He doesn't abuse them per se. He encourages them to get out of their shell, which is a good thing.
In his own way.
His own way, yeah, which is, but that's the only way you can do it in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I guess I meant earlier was I like his early self.
yes. I think he's developed into a not a great role model, but a better role model than he was at the beginning.
Yeah. Would that make him a C?
I think yes, it makes the same shape. I feel really hitching really close to what they did.
We're not. I don't think we're gonna do it exactly.
All right. The boys have.
I only made that comment earlier because, like, with the first 5 issues, we didn't really know what we were doing.
Right. No. Yeah. We entered this totally flying blind.
Yeah. So next we have
Kirby.
this. Where is he? Here.
Yeah, I think it's Kirby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirby is. There's 3 friends that they run into, and these were guys that were friends before they met Marty and Eli.
Yeah.
There's Kirby. It was Steve and Don, and they were friends.
Yeah.
And then they've met Kirby, who's sort of a stronger personality than the two of them. Also a flawed character. He tried to impress them by pretending he was dating somebody that he really wasn't. So he also is the first of them to have something happen to him. He gets sort of, I'll say, bamboozled into helping this Veribus experiments.
Yeah.
Trying to make him, because he wants to be kind of what Marty and Eli are without really trying.
Yeah.
They're kind of, they end up being sort of the center of this group of 5, and he wants that was his position. He was the center of it.
Yeah.
And he wants that back. So everybody's flawed to some degree or another, but
well, I mean, a good character in general, a Wolverine character is a flawed character.
right. So I would make him a B or a C, because I think of the 3 of them, he's slightly more important than the other 2.
Yeah. Probably the only reason I say a C is because he wants what they have without the effort.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that comes into play in a storyline.
It does. Kirby, Good and Evil.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
read the book.
I'm gonna say, like Louis.
Yeah.
DuckTales reboot.
Yeah, he wasn't based on Louis, but yes, he wasn't all to come to him. So there's Steve and Don.
Yes.
They don't do much.
Right.
And
Yeah, Don. Now, they were friends. They have sort of a common, background to certain. I think they come from broken homes or something.
Yeah.
I forget exactly how they were friends, but they knew each other. Steve is a little more memorable than Don, because Don occasionally gets called Dan,
yeah.
which is sort of a joke he doesn't like. They kind of make it part of the, So I think when Mocha meets him for the first time, she calls him Dan, because that's what I was told to call you.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't be. They're not bad, so they probably. If Kirby's a C, then they're probably C's as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There are different levels of C, though.
Yes. Okay.
based on personalities and our importance to the story.
Okay, then the next character that they really run into is, well, I guess it's Jennifer. She is sort of the high school, I don't know if she was the high school homecoming queen, but she's that type. You know, she was a pretty beautiful girl in high school. She's the one that all these Kirby, Steve, and Don would have wanted to be able to,
Be with. She ends up with Eli.
Yes. And she's a former tennis player. She was ranked as a junior. And she's her father has got ambition for her. And she's smart. She's had some tutoring, but she's smart. And she's sort of the she likes Eli.
Yeah.
Or loves Eli.
Yeah, no. She and Eli have a relationship that's evolved.
Yes.
And they think that relationship has also developed both of them as characters
Yes.
gradually.
It's made Eli more confident.
Yeah.
It's made So, where do we see her?
Well, how do you feel?
I like her. I like all the characters.
Right.
She was based on, was it sort of Jennifer from Disgaea?
Yeah.
Yeah, visually.
Visually, yeah, that was the impulse.
Because we had seen the anime at the time.
Hey, I think she was. I think the girls rated her an A. So she'd be probably an A or a B.
I'd be tempted to make her an A.
I was thinking at least a B.
Okay.
Right,
I
so,
could go either way.
so like a high B or
I'd be as far as a B.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
What?
what?
While we're at it, we named Kirby, Steve, and Don after comic book.
Yes.
yeah, some of these characters are named after comic book artists and writers.
Kirby was
Jack
Kirby,
Kirby
and then Steve Ditko, and who was Don?
Don Figueroa.
All right.
is a Transformers artist.
So if you guys are listening, hey, somebody named a character.
Yeah.
Jack Kirby's not listening, or Steve Ditko either, probably. All right. So then there is Mocha.
Yes.
Now, Mocha was, I can't think of the actress's name, but her visually was based on a,
Yeah. Exotic.
yes, adult
Yeah.
adult actress, who is, and so she's sort of not supposed to necessarily look a certain ethnicity.
Yeah.
She is kind of new to humans in a way.
Yeah.
The boys, which I don't think they get credit for here as bees, but they saved her life
Yes.
when she was being hunted, and she's the one that gave them these powers as a reward, as a thank you, and also to help defend her at the time.
Yeah.
Which we find out. She is shift changer, right?
Shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong word. But she can change her appearance. She has more powers than the boys have. She has what they have and more. She when Eli and Jennifer were starting their relationship, the first time they kissed, she never kissed, and so she picked Marty to kiss, and they sort of developed a relationship from that.
Yeah.
And then Marty was a little worried that, is he going to be a furry or whatever? And then another character came along, he sort of tried it out with her, and then went back to Mocha, and she took him back.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier, we decided the Mocha was an S.
Yeah.
Unless that's changed on anybody. She's like a strong character, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the most important characters in the story.
I realize we've done some issues without her, but
Yes. Well, we needed to see how the boys fared without her assistance.
Yes, those are next year's issues, by the way.
Yeah.
So you have to wait about that. So
Now for Mocha as Kitsune.
so yeah, she's a kitsune as she's a yokai. We don't think we actually said that. Who takes a human form, and her yokai form is a kitsune.
Yeah.
A multi-tailed
Fox.
magical fox.
Yeah.
So the girls put all the animals as A's.
As S's.
S's. S's. Went above and beyond. I don't think necessarily all the animals are S's personally.
This one is.
Yeah, might as well.
All right. So in the first couple of issues, they have a battle with Dr. Atlas, and as you say, think he's dead.
Yeah.
But somebody else comes to pick up the mantle, and it's Dr. Brubaker.
Yes. Named after Ed
Brubaker. Yes. He's Ted Brubaker. And I don't think it was meant as a compliment at the time, though. I do read Ed Brubaker stuff.
I think we've softened up on that.
Yes. I've
So
since
it's
come
just-
around.
It's just a reference now.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's sort of in three issues
Yeah, 2 issues.
and gone.
2 issues? Yeah.
Yeah, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I always forget who these things are. But anyway, so Dr. Atlas, he's a comrade of his, or a
Yeah.
follower. Yes, and he thinks he's onto something, so he comes to San Ramon Community College because they have an opening for a science teacher since Instructor Miller left, and so he's trying to continue his experiments on the boys, and he's not successful. A really smart guy,
Yeah.
not a great villain in some ways.
Yeah.
So, how would you rate him?
Probably a D.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have better villains. There we go.
Now, he does not come alone.
No.
He comes with Dr. Reynolds.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Dr. Reynolds is very highly claimed. She's got her own degrees. But she comes in as his teaching assistant, and she tries to sort of use the boys' budding sexuality and her own to kind of trap them, I guess.
Yeah.
And she fails, of course, and she comes. Now we brought her back in the last couple of issues
Yes.
as she escaped prosecution here, but ended up in I Stand a Stan and helped them develop their WMD.
PowerSquaredCombo.com/campus store.
Right. Yes. And so she's a villain.
Yes.
Do we see her as a?
I think she's better than Brubaker. She, in the sense that she has more development.
Okay.
As a person, developed in the wrong direction. As a character,
Yes.
there's
she's
more to her.
Right.
Yes.
And actually, Marty actually saves her life later. But so C or D?
If it was a C, it would be a low C.
Okay. So low that would be
Yeah.
a D.
Well, what do you think?
I mean, as a person, she's not very nice.
No.
She's a yeah.
C.
Make her a C. Make her a C.
Right.
What the-
I am sensing a pattern.
Okay. Now, the next issue is Dr. Marcus Jordan.
Oh yeah. Reynolds. Her first name is Gail.
Gail Reynolds.
In reference to
Gail
Gail Simone. Not
You're
in, a
welcome.
not in a bad way.
We're just looking for people to name.
Yeah.
That.
So Marcus Jordan.
Marcus Jordan. Now, he is, as we sort of discover, was on campus at the same time. He just doesn't come to the fore until after they're gone.
Yeah.
He had sort of, I'll say, bribed the security guards who aren't here, by the way, who were kind of, not the greatest guys either, to see if they ever see anything kind of interesting. And so they tell him they see Mocha, so he knows that she's there. He then plays upon Kirby's insecurities to get Kirby to sort of be a part of. He's going to do something to make Kirby more confident, more like the boys are, and he gives him the verbose compound, or has it grow in him.
Yeah.
And Kirby develops some telepathic, though he's a receiver. They have a little how did network television work explanation of the issue. But anyway, so Dr. Marcus Jordan,
Yeah.
as the girls refer to as Dr. Marcus or Dr. Jordan, but he's Dr. Marcus Jordan. Now, he is also a character that we were just we had no idea what to make him look like.
Yeah.
And I think he's just a generic picture that we grabbed. But
I think this was when we started kind of knowing what we were starting to know what we were doing with writing villains.
right.
He is manipulative
Yes.
and he's a devoted follower of Atlas. But I would be tempted to put him in C just because I think he's a more interesting villain than Brubaker.
Okay.
I was thinking C.
All right. Ooh, we're breaking away. All right. So we have Kirby, and then what happened? What's the next one? Is I want to say, it's Professor Theorem,
Yeah.
Patricia Theorem.
There we go.
Now, she enters the story as a villain she's being sort of run by, we find out Dr. Atlas is making her do these things. She has the capability of traveling between images of the Napoleon theorem.
Yes.
Which I thought, when I saw a drawing of it, I thought, hey, that's kind of like a portal. So, so her name is Professor Patricia Theorem.
Yeah.
Which is sort of just like, I don't know, kind of
With a name like that, you're destined for math.
I think that even comes up in the story. But then we find out that she's being forced into doing this, and then she actually comes to the boys' aid.
Yeah.
Helps them with the later story. So, what do we think of her?
I think I'd put her in A.
Okay.
Because she becomes an ally.
Yes.
And I think she grows stronger as a character.
Okay. So we like her.
Yeah.
You're gonna put Jennifer in A if you wanted to.
So this is three of us deciding. So I'm not trying to force anything.
So I got her sister.
Right. Now her sister is really she's barely in the. I wouldn't have necessarily probably picked her for this, but we're going by what they chose. Her sister is being held captive by Dr. Atlas.
Yeah.
And so she, I think, has like one or two lines maybe.
I'll just say already I'd be tempted to put her in C just because she doesn't do much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's not like D tier terrible.
No. She's not terrible. She's a victim in it.
Yeah.
So then we have the appearance of Quincy.
Yeah.
Oh, it worked that.
What?
It worked that.
Quincy something Davidson.
Quincy Victoria
Davidson.
Davidson.
That's it.
Why do I remember?
I named it. I forgot that. She is the editor of the Hound Dog's Howl, the
Yes.
school paper, which of course you could subscribe to. So she's the editor. She interviews the boys. She's the one that gives them the name Power Squared.
Yes.
And she takes an interest in Marty because he's not saying that he's actually not dating Mocha at the time. They're sort of still in that kind of not sure what to do stage.
Yeah.
And she comes on pretty strong to him. We find out that she has her eyes, she can see multiple colors.
Tetrachromatic.
Right. And,
Like the mantis shrimp.
Yes.
and she's persuasive.
Yes.
We find out that she has a little bit of a backstory with Steve.
Yeah.
They knew each other. She's from the town, like most of the characters are, and Steve remembers her convincing him to take her to a dance in middle school or something. So she has the power of persuasion. That's her power, and the eyes sight. Just
Yeah.
we threw that in. It's kind of an interesting feature, I think. She at the same time trying to kill the boys and split them apart at the same time.
Yeah.
And so she works on Marty and tries to pull him away from Eli.
Yeah.
Not a nice lady. But we find out that she's doing this because Dr. Atlas has given her the verbose compound.
Yeah. She gets kind of redeemed at the end.
Yes. So we make her a C or a B?
Kind of floating between them for me. Maybe a high C.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So
So in that same arc, we've got
Pedro. Whose last name we purposely didn't give.
Yeah.
Pedro, they start to notice that somebody is doing things as Marty around campus, and we learn that Pedro is the imposter. He has also been given the verbose compound by Dr. Atlas. As a person, he had the ability to sort of, impersonate people. And now that he's got this verbose compound, he can actually look like the person.
Yeah.
And he picks Marty. He's a little comical. I guess the girls thought he was funny.
Yeah.
He eventually gets found out by Eli,
Yeah.
and Eli helps sort of break the spell that Quincy has on him.
Yeah.
Through Pedro. And again, Pedro and Quincy end up together.
Yeah.
It turns out.
I think I'd make him a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
He's one of the more interesting characters.
Okay. So we had that introduction that ran for a while, and then we did how they met.
Right.
Which
Introduced a bunch of yokai.
yeah, and for the most part we didn't name them.
Yeah.
They were just people chasing the boys.
I have
Or chasing Mocha, actually.
yeah. I have ideas for names, but we haven't finalized them, so I'm not gonna say any of them.
Actually, one of them comes back in a future story, and it
Yeah.
gets a name, but at this point they don't have one.
Yeah, so we'll just go with nameless.
Right. So the first one would be the leader of that group was the bear.
Yeah, the Onikuma.
Right.
This.
So what do we think of it? Now I found out during the last week's podcast that he's based on
Jason Momoa.
Visually.
visually.
Yeah. I'll just move them all up here.
So, what do we think of him as a?
Right. Well, so far in general, so far in the story, none of them have done much.
Right. In a coming issue,
One of them does.
Yes.
But based on where we are
Here.
at this point, well, because we don't know much about him,
Right.
I wouldn't go put him too high.
No, I think he was an A because of who he's based on.
I'd maybe go with a B just because he's going to be important later.
Well, it's this guy over here.
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point, they're
yeah.
gonna
Yes, he is going to be important. So
Yeah.
if you'll make him a B, that's fine. But that's not him. He's not the one that becomes important.
Okay, I thought we were talking about him first.
We are talking about him first, but the guy that becomes important is the
All right,
guy.
I'll put him there.
Okay. That's who becomes important later. So, Jason Momoa.
You kind of messed that up.
Okay, sorry.
I thought we were
I thought we were
still
going to talk about him
talking
too, but he's not the one that becomes important later.
Don't they all become important later? We just haven't written them yet.
Well, potentially maybe, but at this point, there's no story written that includes him
Okay.
beyond this.
Well, then where would you put him?
I hope him as like a D or something because he's not really.
All right.
And where would you want to put his?
I don't know. I don't know where I'd put the yokai.
Or would they go with the person they're attached to, or?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. And so so people can. The dog is an Inugami.
Yes. And there is no Nikuma.
Okay.
Yes.
And the cat.
It's a Nekomata.
Okay. There are in the other stories there are Nekomatas and all this, but they're not the same.
Right.
So again, she's a villain. She's got really no part. I mean, she's just there.
Well, you could say that for all.
Yes, right. So, what would you want to make her?
Well, if the Onikuma is a D, wouldn't they all be Ds?
I would think so, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We're taking maybe a little step back here, but we should maybe mention Jennifer's parents,
Yeah.
who've already been in the story. They were actually in the same story as Professor Theorem. It's their house. She goes in to tutor Jennifer and then robs them while she's there using the Napoleon theorem.
Yeah.
That's her one. She's stealing to pay off her student debt. I guess now that would have been forgiven. So her parents they show up again and again in the story. He's a well-to-do lawyer. She's a housewife, as far as we know. She has a staff, so obviously there's some money there. But do we think? And she seems to care for Jennifer and all that. How would we want to rank them?
B, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Just put them with her.
Yeah, sorry, we can flip by them. And then the boys at one point get arrested,
Yes.
and there is two characters still on here. D.A. Nanny is the fourth one in. She is somebody that played in a band with Uncle Brian in the youth. She's now going to be a DA, and I don't get the impression that they're dating, but Uncle Brian is trying to reconnect with her just as friends, if nothing else. So So and again, small part.
Yeah.
Make her a C.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then there is Detective or Officer Ketchum,
Yeah.
who arrests them. And again, he's sort of a minor character.
So.
C, I guess.
For those that are wondering, was his namesake anything related to Ash Ketchum?
I don't know. I just thought Ketchum. It may have been. I just thought Ketchum was kind of a funny kind of play on,
Right.
what's he do? He gets, and Nanny was sort of a takeoff on the Nanny stage, telling you how to do everything.
Right.
So that's where she comes from.
Ash Ketchum's name is also kind of a play on word. Because Pokemon, you gotta catch them all.
Well, we can say that here. The next people that the boys come in contact with are, I want to say it's Raven, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Billy and Raven.
Billy and Raven.
Yes.
Now, Billy has, as a kid, was sort of nice to a bird got shot by a friend of his with a BB gun. This is kind of a story that a lot of people have seen happen in their life or heard about that happening to somebody. So a friend of his shoots a bird, and he takes it in and heals it. Right?
Yeah.
And the bird is a magical yokai, right?
Yeah, Yada Garasu.
Yes, thank you. And gives him powers as a thank you, and his powers are strength and punctuality. And Billy ends up being a delivery driver for the very reason. He's punctual and he's strong. Right?
Yes.
And they end up going kind of underground together as he's a little boy when all this happens to him. That he gets this power and saves his mom's life.
Yeah.
When she gets hit by a car and he lifts the car off of her, a la Superman. That was the image we were using as the basis for it. And then Dr. Atlas finds out about it. He comes looking for him. And Raven pulls him out before he was captured. So Billy shows up, and I guess they've made a deal with Dr. Atlas to leave them alone if they help give them the boys. So he shows up and, right?
Yeah.
So Billy.
Probably make him an A.
Okay.
Yeah. Couldn't go with that.
All right. Then there is the mother.
Yeah.
Who tries to stop Dr. Atlas, but he poisons her or whatever. Gives her a shot to stop her.
Right.
Again, he's not a nice guy. The mother, I don't think we actually gave her a name.
I'm not sure we did.
So,
I don't remember.
where do you want to rank her?
Probably a B.
Okay.
Right.
Good mom.
Yeah.
Now there's Raven. Magical yokai. She takes an interest because Billy is good to her when she's a bird. She gives him powers, and then she looks after him after Dr. Atlas tries to. She literally takes him out of the house right before Dr. Atlas finds him, and then kind of keeps him. They keep kind of on the move, running on the move. And we're doing an issue now about the two of them.
Yeah.
Maybe for next year as well.
But that has no bearing on this tier
It
list.
is not. But I'm just trying to say that it's a continuing character that we'll see again. So she puts a kind of a hypnosis on the Uncle Brian because he thinks that they're an item or whatever, and lets her into the house and gives her kind of free reign. And then we find out that she's in cahoots with Dr. Atlas.
Right.
And she and Mocha have a history where Mocha is in her Kasune form, ate her eggs, or tried to.
Right.
And so there's a little bad blood between the two of them. So they make up. The story goes on. So, where would you put her?
Thought about an S.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Also, spoiler warning, I guess.
Okay. What? That is.
Since we've been saying the entire story.
Well, I'm just trying to like, place him, like, you know. We skipped over Dr. Monroe.
Which one is he again?
He's the guy with the beard. And a nameless professor. Again, I would have probably picked to talk about him. He comes up in the story with Quincy.
Yeah.
So Dr. Monroe gets sort of used to plant an explosive, I guess.
Yeah.
Where would you put him?
He was a victim, but he also is so minor.
Give him a D?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if we're just going off of what's in the issues in here, then the dog should be the D as well.
Okay. Fine.
Probably.
Yes.
Out of fairness.
That's a good way of putting it. And then there's the name.
Sorry, what? Bondro, what wasn't sure if a C was too generous.
Okay. He's very,
The minor character.
very minor. As is the professor that comes in late.
Yeah.
To me, he'd be a D. He's really not a. Wouldn't even name him, just a professor that shows up.
Yeah.
He's also not very punctual.
He's late, yes, and he's which probably saves his ass. But then the next story was one that you wrote, in which
Yeah. Kamaitachi?
yes, and as always, they're being sort of manipulated into attacking the boys. They're kind of fun characters, actually.
Yeah.
A.
Okay.
I also thought of it.
These are inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I've mentioned a few times on this podcast that I was inspired by the Yosenju archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay. So then it takes us to the.
If I'm right, they don't have names, right?
No,
No,
they're
they-
just 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, but they're color coded.
Yeah.
While we were reviewing the previous podcast, I thought of possible names for them, but I wasn't.
Who are we doing? No.
No.
What were they?
Probably because I was recently started reading Energon Universe, but thought I had was like naming them after Daniel Warren Johnson, like Daniel Warren and Johnson.
Like, that goes against our coffee theme.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't sure about that. These are unofficial
Right.
names.
No, that's fine. You can call them whatever you want to call them.
They are placeholder names.
So the last story that's been out, which just came out,
Yes.
part 2 of it just came out, is Mission Afghanistan.
Yes.
And as we mentioned, Dr. Reynolds is in that issue.
Yeah.
The boys, surprise, surprise, the military knows, or the U.S. government knows the boys have these powers.
Yeah.
They can't work with the yokai, and they need them to help. And to actually thwart Dr. Reynolds, as it turns out, in some ways. And so the boys are asked, in quotes, to help, and actually are I don't say anesthetized by 2 guys in black.
Yeah. These two
Guys. Minor characters. We don't see them again, but would you say they were D's or C's?
probably low C.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just,
Set in the other tier list, the artist tier list, they're just doing their job.
they're just doing their job. They run into Red River. Not Red Rivers. Sorry, Red Rivers. Red Rivers. He's.
This one, or
I'm not sure that. Yeah, I guess.
which one?
Well, I know we meet him in Shadow, don't we?
Anyway,
Yeah. So Red River. He's in the Shadow.
Right.
He is kind of their middle person in this whole process. He's the one that sort of tells them what they need them to do, and they decide to help based on Red Rivers.
yeah.
So he'd be a B or a C.
So make them a C. It, like a mid C.
Right. And then the operation is led by General Hogarth,
Yes.
and
Is that an Iron Giant?
it's an Iron Giant reference. He is a military man and sort of the Eisenhower kind of. He wears an Eisenhower jacket. That's what they call what he's wearing. His uniform. He's not happy that a couple of kids have been sent to him to do this mission, but he kind of comes around.
Yeah. Where would you put him?
B or C.
What would sway you either way?
I don't know. I'd make him a B.
Alright, guess I'll go with that.
And he has a colonel that's with him, or somebody below him, which is the guy at the end.
Yeah.
Must have been. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But he's sort of just he is sort of the general's right hand man or whatever.
A reminder that creators don't remember everything about their own.
Well, these things are like written like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was finished 2 years ago or whatever, so you kind of forget about it. But yeah, so I think he's probably a D.
Which one?
The one on the end of the left. Sorry. Yeah. The other guy is
Where
sort
did
of
you say?
C or D.
D.
And the other guy is sort of the person that's helping them figure out.
Actually, C
C?
actually
Okay.
does something.
Yes. And then the last guy left. I forgot his name, but he's the one that sort of the mission is to defuse a bomb. What a shock! so new of a plot line. But Eli is the one doing it, and Marty is relaying information to him telepathically that this guy's telling him.
Yeah. Probably C because he actually has importance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is our tier list.
Yes, I'm not gonna say it's the definitive tier list like they did. but
Any other changes? Now that we've stared at this for an hour.
Yeah, no. No, I think that's kind of probably close. And I think we all agree that Mocha is a very important character.
Yeah.
We all like her. Raven, a little surprised I made her the S, but that's cool. And otherwise, I think it's pretty accurate.
Right.
At least how we feel at this moment. Now, there's other stories coming, and the characters will change, but this is how it is at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you are watching this on YouTube and if you're watching this on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment below if you agree or disagree with this tier list.
Yeah, and you have a chance now to watch 2 tier lists
Yes.
and decide which one you like best.
Yeah.
The artist or the creators. Guess where I'm going. All right. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.